Hey guys, in today's video, I want to see if it's possible to beat Resident Evil 2 Remake using only the knife. Now why is this a challenge? Well, not only do we have to get close to enemies to even do damage, but the knife also has durability, which means that we can't even really use too much of it because we'll need to fight the bosses with it. If we run out of knives, we're screwed. We also can't use them to defend ourselves against enemy grabs because if we use the knife, we lose it forever unless we kill the enemy. But what's the chances of that? Now, what are the rules for this challenge? Well, we have to start on hardcore. This is the hardest difficulty in the game. Not only are saves limited, but you die in 2 hits. So this mode isn't fucking around. We gotta be extra careful around the zombies, otherwise we're screwed. And there's only a certain amount of heals in the game, so if we get hit too much, we're gonna be done for when it comes to the boss fights, because these boss fights, they don't mess around. And I swear, I always find it quite hard to conserve healing items in this mode, mainly because the zombies have godlike range with their grabs, because not only do they do a really fast lunge, they do 2 of them sometimes. And sometimes it's inconsistent, and sometimes they will only do 1. So these zombies are very hard to get around sometimes. So, can you beat Resident Evil 2 Remake with only the knife? Let's find out. So we go to a gas station where we encounter our first zombie. Since we don't have a knife, we can't fight back and we have to dodge around it, which really isn't too bad. You just grab the key, wait for it to walk by, and then get the hell out of there. And once we make it to the door, we encounter the biggest Chad, Leon Scott Kennedy, who saves us from a zombie. What a hero. We get in a car and we get the hell out of there. We make it to Raccoon City when suddenly the car is swarmed by a bunch of zombies. But unfortunately, it's not over yet, as a giant semi-truck is coming right at us.
Hey! Faggot!
We unfortunately get separated from Leon, and now we have to make it to the RPD all by ourselves. Once we get to the RPD, we open a shutter, run down some hallways, and we encounter a guy who needs our help. We save him just in time, and he only comes out with a minor flesh wound. Unfortunately, we can't stick around for long, as a zombie busts in through the door. First, we wait for him to crawl over the desk and then run around. And to dodge the zombies at the end of the hallway, you just run and hug the right side. They'll never grab you. At least most of the time. We get saved by Marvin Branna, and he is the one who gives us the knife. And now we can finally do damage to enemies. Or at least the bosses. We can't waste any of the durability on the enemies, otherwise we're totally fucked. So to either get around a lot of the zombies, we're just going to either have to dodge or just take a hit. That's about it. We can't waste any of our knives on these guys. Now, the beginning of the RPD isn't really too hard. All you do is just dodge some zombies, do some puzzles, and collect the medals needed to open the secret passageway. I would recommend moving the bookshelves in the library just so Mr. X won't be a total pain in the ass later. Trust me, you're gonna want to do it. Now, if I got hit too much at the beginning, I would just reload a save, as I wanted to save as many healing items as possible for later in the game, because it's going to get much harder then. Now, after collecting all the healing items, knives, and key items that we need, we open the secret passageway and unfortunately leave Marvin behind. And now, we fight G1 Birkin. G1 Birkin is quite easy if you just simply have good frame rate. I beat him in like less than 30 seconds. So, and it only cost me, I think, 1 knife. And I lost a bunch of durability in the other one. After the fight's over, we meet up with a little girl named Sherry Birkin, who gets taken away like 5 minutes later by a creepy old bitch. I'm not kidding around, it's literally 5 minutes. We need to follow after them, but first we need to get a key card for the shutter. And to do that, we need to get to Chief Iron's office first. Chief Iron's office has the key card we need, but it's behind a locked door that requires 2 electronic parts to open. The first part is simple enough to get, as it's just upstairs behind a locked door. There are 2 zombies in this room, but I managed to get by them without being bitten, surprisingly. The next part takes a little more effort to get, as we have a certain someone roaming around the police station. I'm pretty sure we all know who that is. Oh. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Well, it doesn't matter anyway, as now we have to get the jack tool. As soon as we grab it, Mr. X will spawn and we'll have to run from him. We can't waste any time when we get to the library, as the room has zombies in it and Mr. X is chasing us. Now I'm sure you understand why it was a good idea to move some of the bookshelves earlier, as this room gets intense if you waste too much time. Now that the bookshelves are moved, we now run to the clock tower room where we have to solve a small puzzle, but once it's over we get the last electronic part. We run back to the door in the back of the office and solve another small puzzle and finally get the key card. Now we have to play as Sherry, but this part is the same no matter how you play it. You always just have to run away from Chief Irons and watch him get impregnated by a monster. So, yeah, that's about it. Now that we're back as Claire, we make our way to the back of the parking lot where we open the shutter with the key card. But as soon as we do, Mr. X spawns in, so we have to run away. We dodge by the zombies near the fence door by luring them away, and once we get through, Mr. X stops chasing us. Now we dodge by some dogs, which made me a little nervous, as I don't really have a strategy for running by them, but once we make it to the orphanage, we don't have to worry about the dogs ever again. At the orphanage, we run down the hall and have to watch Chief Irons give birth right in front of us. Gross. In the basement, we find Sherry, but then Mr. X shows up, and now we have to run to the elevator, where we watch him get absolutely obliterated by Birkin, who then decides to show us how fast elevators can really go. Unfortunately, we're unconscious, and Sherry does not have any time for that nonsense, and basically says fuck you and leaves us for dead. Now we have to get through the sewers and look for Sherry. Now the sewers are going to be much harder than the police station because zombies are much harder to dodge, and now we have to deal with G adults. These guys suck because their grab range is quite large, and when they do grab you, they inflict damage and poison at the same time. I find it best that when they grab you and poison you, to just walk by them as quickly as you can while poisoned, and then cure yourself of the poison. This way they won't try to grab you immediately. What we need to do in the sewers is pretty simple, and that is to unlock the door to Sherry by doing a chess piece puzzle. Unfortunately, some of the pieces are missing and we need to find them. 2 of them are found in a puzzle room, but to get there we have to run by some G adults. Thankfully, I got through it, only being poisoned once. To get the chess pieces in this room, we have to do a small puzzle, which is really easy and takes around only a minute. Once we have those pieces, we only need one more, which is in a room filled with zombies. Thankfully, I got through this room just fine, but I did decide to be a little risky and try to grab a knife that's in this room, which got me a little worried because sometimes the zombies in this game just love to swarm you if you waste too much time. Now that we have all the pieces, we run back to the door and do the puzzle. Now, before we can get to Sherry, we are forced to fight Birkin again. Before we can actually fight him, we have to dodge his claw swipes from the ceiling, which can easily be done if you just sit in this spot near the door. Now for the actual fight, we don't have to fight him with the knife, because if we do, he'll just stun-lock the ever-loving shit out of you. Instead, you want to bait his jump attack and run to the button to turn on the crane and then run away. Once he starts running at you to try and grab you, run past his left side and his grab will always miss. Run to the safe spot on the platform and you'll have enough time to hit him with the container. Once you do this 3 times, Birkin will fall into the abyss. Once we unlock the door to Sherry, we find out that she is infected with Ligma, and we have to go to the Umbrella Lab to find a cure. Once we get there, we put Sherry on the bed and have to explore the labs alone. Now, is it just me, or does it seem like every time we have Sherry with us, we lose her after like 5 minutes? What the fuck, man? Now, in the labs, what we need to do is upgrade the access level on our bracelet so we can access the labs to get a cure for Sherry. Now, most of the lab isn't too frustrating, but there are some parts that just kinda suck. Some of these parts are places like the stairwell that has a few zombies in it, as they can easily grab you here. Don't try to dodge zombies on the stairs, as they slow you down, but they don't slow down the zombies, which is total fucking bullshit. Now, the next part is annoying only if you don't plan ahead, which is the area that has zombies and lickers in it. This is a frustrating part because it's close quarters and you can't run from the zombies, otherwise you'll alert the lickers. You can't outwalk the zombies either, as they're faster than you, but you can prevent this if you kill the zombies on the ground before the lickers spawn, which makes this part far easier. The most frustrating part is the room filled with IVs. This place is pure cancer, and for one reason. If one of these guys grab you, it's instant death unless you defend yourself with a knife. I reloaded over and over in this place until I got through it with good luck. I learned later that after you dispense the solution for the IVs, it knocks them on the ground. If any of these IVs fall on the ground on the path out of the room, knife them to death and that part will be much easier. The only part that was just pure luck was the last 2 IVs after you run out of the room. Thankfully, they didn't grab me, so that's nice, I guess. Now that we have the level 3 access that we need on our security bracelet, we go and grab the cure for Sherry and make our way back to her. Unfortunately, Birkin gets in our way again, so we give Annette the cure for Sherry and we have to fight him by ourselves. This fight was not that bad at all. I didn't have a strategy for this fight, I just kept knifing him and tanking every attack that came my way, because at this point in the game I had so many heals that I just didn't care about strategy. And this got me through it just fine. He died real quick. We run back to Sherry, and fortunately the cure removed all traces of Ligma from her body. Unfortunately, the self-destruct system activates, and Annette goes bye-bye. Now we have to get out of the lab before it explodes. The run to the turntable is quick and easy, but there is one part that is annoying if you aren't fast enough. It's the part where you have to have Sherry open a locked door from the other side, as while you're waiting, 2 IVs will drop from the ceiling. The best way to get through this is to quickly knife the first Ivy that falls from the ceiling to death while it's on the ground. If you're fast enough, it will die before it gets up. For the second Ivy, I just kept luring it around this area right here, and as soon as Sherry unlocked the door, I ran for it. Once we get to the turntable, we leave Sherry in the train car and go and turn the turntable on. Now we have to fight Birkin for one final time. And it's one of the easiest fights ever, too. The reason for this is that this Birkin doesn't die from damage this time. The only way to beat him is to pop a certain amount of eyes on his body, and the knife is perfect for this, as one swipe of the knife can take out quite a few eyes. Do this enough times, and Birkin will finally go down for good. And there you have it. Resident Evil 2 Remake can be beaten with only a knife. At least if you're playing as Claire, because Leon has to use a gun to blow up the alligator and kill the super timer with a rocket launcher. But anyway, challenge completed. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing, as that motivates me to make more videos like this. Now, if you want to know what game I'm making a challenge on next, here's a hint.
Block off, Featherface, or you can stick around and find out the hard way.